Hello, good evening. Welcome to another edition of Eye on Port. It is proudly brought to you by Goil Company Limited, Serene Insurance, the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. We apologize for the late start of the program, and also to let you know that these days we have started bringing this program to you at 5:30 p.m. No longer the 6 p.m. 5:30 p.m. to allow you the opportunity to also interact with the guests who appear on the program. If you have questions doing business around the port, you get the folks or the guest, distinguished guest who end up here around the table, so that you get to understand the ports and harbors industry very well. So always make time around 5:30, join the team, and also participate in the program, because that's the only way you get to understand trade around this country in particular. Today we're going to talk about environment, the environment around the ports, the environment around industry. We want to understand it better. So the Environmental Protection Agency has been doing so much together with the Ports and Harbours Authority to ensure a safe port or safe ports we have in this country, unlike the few ones that we have had now. I think about 2-3 years ago, we had a Shenzhen port in China caught fire. I think a year or two or so ago, we heard that one of the biggest ports in Brazil also caught fire. And in 1995, 97, I guess, I don't know, 1997 thereabout, even Tema port, some small section caught fire. So how do we ensure that we keep our ports very safe and all of that? That's what we're going to discuss today. We'll also discuss some of the levies coming around the ports there as far as environmental protection is concerned, how we get finance for ensuring the safety of our ports. We also look at, for instance, the safety of the waters in which we practice or we have our port. So if you go to Takoradi Port, for instance, right now as I speak to you, in spite of the industrial activities that's going on there, the waters there are so fine that you have fingerlings surviving and breeding in it. All of that we will show you today. We'll be right back after the break.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Oh, how are you?
Hi Yvonne, a few words please. Everyone is talking about the fire at your production house last week. How are you holding up? Has production stalled?
No, not at all. My crew and everyone on my set is perfectly fine because I insure with Serene Insurance. As a matter of fact, I've had all my equipment replaced, including the vehicles that were affected. My workers have been sorted out. Even my production downtime has been covered. So it's all good. I have a meeting to attend to, so I have to get going. Sorry about that.
Which insurance company did you mention?
Serene Insurance, the new face of insurance, a member of First Sky Group.
Utiliser les ports de Tema et de Takoradi, c'est avoir un traitement rapide et sécurisé de vos marchandises diverses en conteneurs, en sac ou en vrac, ainsi que tous vos véhicules en transit. Le Ghana a construit un parking bien pavé pour tous les véhicules en transit. Une nouvelle gare frigorifique pour le stockage de la marchandise congelée en transit. Avec un nouveau centre de traitement de données construit et la mise en œuvre efficace d'un guichet unique national qui permet aux données d'être accessibles par tous les intervenants, le traitement des dossiers dans les ports du Ghana est maintenant efficace et plus efficient. Utiliser les ports du Ghana, c'est profiter des systèmes de portes électroniques et d'exploitation des terminaux ainsi que de la réservation des navires en ligne, entraînant ainsi un parc de camions fiables pour un acheminement de vos marchandises dans les brefs délais avec un suivi satellitaire jusqu'à nos frontières.
Les femmes, à vous les honneurs.
Les ports de Tema et de Takoradi célèbrent la femme. Que les bienfaits de cette célébration apportent plus de bénédictions.
Welcome back to the program. It's Eye on Port. So, as I mentioned earlier, the program is proudly brought to you by Goil Company Limited, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Serene Insurance, and Ghana Link, operators of the integrated customs management systems. The last time I called them ICOMS, they say, no, I'm too old-fashioned. It's ICOMS. So, integrated custom management systems is on board Ion Port, our new entrant. We say congratulations to you for being part of Ion Port. We are proud of you and proud of all the works that you are doing, your achievement so far as the industry is concerned. Integrated customs management systems, ICOMS, is operated by Ghana Link Company Limited. So today we're going to talk about the environment and ports, but before then, you notice that the nationwide vaccination, the COVID vaccination began, I think, on Monday thereabout. It's not supposed to be for everybody, but those on the front line. And most of the operators within the port industry are working on the front line. So you have the customs officials, the security folks, the Ports and Harbours Authority folks. They're all working on the front line. So that vaccination began. International Maritime Hospital was also busy. Take a listen and we'll be back.
Norwegian ship owner Solstad Offshore has stated on Thursday, 4th March 2021 that it has inked contracts for 2 of its subsea construction vessels in the renewables and seismic sectors. The contract should commence in October 2021 in continuation of the previously secured contract of IMaH Vestas. IMaH Vestas is utilizing a 2006 built vessel for walk-to-work operations at the Triton Knoll offshore wind farm in the UK as of March. Dutch subsea and survey specialist Fugro has secured multiple contracts from ENI Angola to carry out geotechnical and environmental surveys of the coast of Angola between now and May. For the purpose of the project, Fugro has utilized its specialist geotechnical and geophysical vessels, Fugro Scout and Fugro Helmet. The Fugro Scout has embarked on a deep-water environmental survey to acquire, analyze and interpret sediment and water samples from ENI Angola's Agogo field development. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has begun the vaccination of its frontline workers and the port community against COVID-19 in accordance with the national protocols. GPH's health centers and has since the 2nd of March begun vaccination of its frontline workers, beginning with medical doctors, nurses, pharmacists, medical laboratory officers, health information officers, orderlies, and ambulance drivers, among others. The Health Services Department of GPHA received a first batch of 500 doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which is marketed as Covishield, intended to be administered to its frontline staff, after which persons 60 years and above will be inoculated.
60 years and above are also eligible for this exercise. But because we are a health facility and we are covering the port first, we have to finish with ours, and then we can begin to be open to the public where 60 years and above can walk in here and take their vaccine. Because everything is given for free.
According to the General Manager in charge of Health Services at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Dr. Vitus Victor Anabisi, the first phase of the exercise, which will run from March 2 through to March 8, is expected to pass off smoothly without any hitches. According to him, authorities have ensured that all persons taking part in the exercise adhere to all the protocols.
So there will not be need for queue. We are not supposed to be crowded around it, so there won't be a queue. People will just come, get the shot, wait for 15 minutes to be observed for any possible reaction to the vaccine. After 15 minutes, if you don't have any reaction, then you are declared fit and you go back.
He encouraged the various frontline workers within the nation to take the jabs to protect themselves and help the country win the fight against COVID-19.
So I'm appealing to them that they should put all fears aside. We are helpful, we should show good example. So indeed, there's nothing to be afraid about. We know that the COVID-19 vaccine is safe, and we know the purpose of vaccines. We should be the disciples and apostles of vaccination.
Meanwhile, the International Maritime Hospital, one of the business units of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and a designated COVID-19 vaccination center, has also begun vaccination in accordance with the national scheme. The International Maritime Hospital has since 2020 been serving as one of the national treatment centers for COVID-19, helping in mitigating the impacts of the virus on the citizenry. IMaH has received its first batch of 1,600 doses of the COVAX vaccine for vaccination of its staff, people above 60 years, and in health conditions, respectively, according to the national guidelines. Dr. Sylvester Yaopong, the CEO of IMaH, said, like all other national centers, the coronavirus has taken its toll on the health facility, so the arrival of vaccines has been refreshing news and a step in the right direction in the fight against the virus.
We initially had a ward of about 15 persons, and overnight we had to expand it to over 30. And when it was expanded, within 2 days, it was filled, and the people calling, asking for spaces, begging for spaces. So the whole country, the situation was dire. Not just here, but most of the COVID treatment centers.
The CEO of the International Maritime Hospital said, not only does the vaccine help to mitigate the negative impact the COVID-19 has on public health, but successful vaccination will return social and economic life to the desired state.
As a country, that is the way that we can open up our economy for things to move as normal. Because you see, Ghanaians, we are very communal.
He urged the public to disregard all conspiracy theories surrounding the vaccine and take their jabs when it is their turn to.
I will urge everybody to go in for that. For some reason, there are all kinds of conspiracy theories going about, but please disregard these things. Disregard this. They do not hold any water.
Some recipients of the vaccine shared their experiences.
Generally, I have underlying issues, and as long as the vaccine was available, I felt, I should come and have it, just to prevent me from catching the...
No pain, as I stand here, no reaction. It's like nothing has happened to me. Just that I'm in a hospital environment.
In a related development, the Tema collection of the customs Julius Cantum has joined the rest of the port community to take jabs of the coronavirus vaccine. About 500 customs officers were expected to get vaccinated, as well as some clearing agents who frequent their offices. The sector commander explained that it is critical to have all customs officers vaccinated because they serve on the front lines of the port and shipping business, serving clients and stakeholders locally and internationally.
Indeed, the vaccination is a game changer in this whole fight against the pandemic. And that is why, because we interface directly with so many stakeholders, it is critical that we undergo this vaccination so that we can protect ourselves and protect all our stakeholders.
He added his voice to calls for the public to disregard unfounded conspiracy theories circulating in the social media space and urged all to seize the opportunity and get vaccinated against COVID-19.
There are so many theories that are floating the internet, but most of these theories have been debunked, and therefore the vaccines are very safe. The president has said it, the vice president and all the critical members of society that we have seen on TV have said it. So it is very safe. Let's all go out there and then get vaccinated.
The director of the port of Tema, Sandro Poku, has been conferred with a Woman of Excellence Award for her outstanding contribution to the maritime transport industry in Ghana. This was at the 6th Ghana Women of Excellence Awards held in Accra to acknowledge and celebrate distinguished women causing positive change and development in society within their various disciplines of work. The event coincides with the imminent International Women's Day, celebrated on March 8 every year. Sandra Opoku is the first female director of port in the history of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and has been steering affairs at Ghana's largest commercial port since her appointment in 2019. A maritime lawyer by profession, Sandra Opoku touched on her career journey in the male-dominated maritime industry.
So I think for GPHA, I should say that I've been through the ranks, and finally as the director of port, now you've moved on from legal, you're more into administration and operations, and every day you learn something new.
She explained that these accomplishments would not only honor her, but would encourage other women participating in the port and maritime industry to work hard and earn their place.
It comes with its own responsibility that you're being looked at, you're being watched, you're also mentoring people, and so you do not take things like this lightly. It only spurs you on to work harder and to improve the lot of other women as well in the industry who would also want to follow my footsteps.
The director of Tema Port indicated that the Port of Tema, despite the disruptions of COVID-19, delivered on its target in 2020 and is poised to do well in 2021.
Better days ahead, even though 2020 was, quite difficult, but the maritime industry was spared. We still moved a lot of cargo, and we're hoping to move more cargo, and for the Port of Tema to deliver excellent service to our customers. That's the most important.
So we say congratulations to the director of the Port of Tema, Mrs. Sandra Opoku. So my guest in the studio is Honorable Dr. Henry Kwabena Kokofu. He's a lawyer. He's Executive Director, Environmental Protection Agency. He's a former Deputy Chief Executive of the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation, GISDEC. That's the short form of it. He's also a former Member of Parliament for Bantama. Honorable Kokofu, pleasure to have you again. The lights interrupted our initial conversation. So welcome and good to see you on this Independence holiday.
Yeah, good evening to you and to our cherished viewers out there, and to wish everybody a continuous Independence Day celebration. Yesterday, the leader of the country, the President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, gave a virtual Independence Day message. And this is one of the greatest effects of COVID-19. Given the exigencies of the time, we couldn't do it as we used to do. So the president had to reach out to our various homes to give us the message. And more so, our satellite team, the National Under-20 team, a very befitting birthday gift. That is the African Cup for the Under-20 tournament, far away, North Shore, in Mauritania. So it's a good thing to celebrate, even though we are still under COVID-19.
So my guest in the studio is Honorable Dr. Henry Kwabena Kokofu. As I've introduced him severally, he's the Executive Director, Environmental Protection Agency, and a former Deputy Chief Executive of Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation. He's also a former Member of Parliament for Bantama. Honorable, sorry that I have had to introduce you almost about 4 times. It's due to the problem that we all have across. After a Member of Parliament, I know that you've been serving in quite a number of agencies. How has life been after MPship?
Well, quite interesting. It's been normal, given my background and training as a natural resource person. Having good insight in renewable natural resource management. And then the non-renewables, also because of petroleum. Yes, I did masters in law, petroleum law.
Okay.
So it gave me a lot of insights in the extractive industry.
Okay.
And then, when I undertook a course, a PhD course at University of Ghana, Environmental Sanitation Studies.
Okay.
I researched into the ASM, the artisanal small-scale mining, the formalization of it, and reviewed the laws and policies, regulations, and tried to find out those that are working and those that are not working. And if there are gaps, what to do about that. So, by and large, I have renewable and non-renewable natural resources. And it has been quite exciting and interesting in the enclave of managing the overall biophysical environment that comes around us, or we find ourselves in as a people and as a nation.
So even before the EPA, you were with, you were a board member of, is it petroleum, one of the...
No, Forestry Commission.
Forestry Commission, actually.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Board member of the Forestry Commission.
So you come to EPA with that vast experience, as you said, managing environment and all of that. But what did you come to meet at EPA? What's ahead of you?
It is an institution created by law, Act 490 of 1994. Parliament, it became an agency, and flowing from there were the driving force of that law, LI 1652 or 56 years, that gave the impetus to EPA works with. Even then, deeper, it takes its antecedent from the Constitution of Ghana, 1992 Constitution of Ghana, Article 36(9), that is the directive principle of state policies. It enjoins the state to undertake measures to safeguard and protect the environment, even to the extent of collaborating with external partners or global partners to safeguard the global environment. The same chapter, Article 41K, also enjoins the citizenry to safeguard and protect the environment. So in both stretch, you have the state having a stake and having been by the Constitution to do so, and then the citizenry. Going even far back, I believe as biblically, the first job that God gave to man, I think Genesis 1:20 there down, after creating all that nature, creating nature, God found everything to be so nice and beautiful. So he asked man to name them. The birds in the skies, the fishes in the sea, the trees in the forest, and commandeered man to take dominion over all that. So the first job that God gave to man, Adam, was to manage the natural resources, take dominion over the environment that he finds himself in. So we cannot, as a matter of fact, deny the responsibility that is bestowed onto us. Back home in Ghana, we are fortunate to have a president, and indeed, all our presidents have shown greater concern in environmental management. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, on assumption to office 2017, made it clear that the passion to protect and manage the environment for posterity is one that is so dear to his heart. And he has never departed from that thing and has always ensured that we get to that. When I got to EPA, yes, earlier things have been done and continue to be done. Two or few things needed to be reformed somehow to meet the exigencies of the time. For instance, the workforce used to be 380 nationwide.
380 workforce.
Yes, and we thought it was quite woefully inadequate, judging the fact that we have so many districts, we have so many regions.
You have presence in every district, do you?
Not at all. It's a future thing that we're looking up to. Very soon, we have got to
have an office in every district.
To have and then but for the regions, yes, we are covered now, and we have some area officers. We've been able to beef up the numbers, courtesy the president, through the then minister, Professor from Paul Boateng. EPA was granted very well, gave us the leave. Today we stand at almost 700. So it's closely doubled. And we hope to get to 1,000 by close of year, judging that we are gearing towards getting to every district in the country. And then again, logistics. We have beefed up our mobility with provision of vehicles for the outstations, I mean the regions and the area officers, and other things that needs to be done. Most important, that's a situation where you may not necessarily have to trek down to EPA offices to transact business.
Get certifications and all of that.
Exactly, in the comfort of your office and all that. Get through and review of environmental management plans, environmental impact assessments, and all those.
Can all be done online?
Yes. Indeed, some aspects are being done, but we want to get things done fully so that we are automated all around nation and we can be doing things. We've also worked hard enough to change the turnaround time, real time of service provision. For instance, if you apply for environmental permit or that, we used to use 25 days to do. Now it's been cut down drastically to 5 days. Yes, unless and until the proponent or the client refuses or for some reasons couldn't gather all the necessary documents in place. If everything were to be ready and prepared and presented or submitted, we can use 5 days to go through the process, get you your environmental permit. And indeed, it is not always the case that your application will be granted. There are times you will refuse.
That you'll be refused,
but when refusals are done, we will give you the reasons, and you have the right to appeal. There are times also we have got to advise proponents to do. We are also looking at infrastructure sector. You go to most of our offices and it's nothing to write home about.
I see.
Yes, our head office is also not. We do believe that we do not need mansions or plush offices to work from. However, for the comfort,
a decent one.
Yeah, for the comfort and for the safety of our workers and those who trudge in there, we need to upskill most of these officers, the regions, the area officers, and all that. And let me quickly say this: we used to have officers, area officers, and all that. And recently, about 2 years ago, the board then and the management then decided to close down Dunkwao Onofin office with a simple reason that the proximity between Obuasi area office and Dunkwao are so close and all that.
And so you didn't need, they thought that you didn't need both offices.
Yes,
one at Obuasi and one at Dunkofing.
Yes, but time have shown that we really need
both,
it.
yeah.
We need both, yes.
Because they're both mining areas and there are quite a number of natural activities.
Yes, a lot more. So we have restored that. And indeed, I had the opportunity and the privilege to engage the Omahine of Dunkwao on that issue. And we amicably settled everything, inclusive the Minerals Commission officers.
So you are restoring your office at Dunkwao Nofing?
Yes, very much so. And then expanding to other districts that we did not have officers.
Okay. Yeah. So on that note, let me pull you back to industries. And I will start off with that of the port industry, particularly due to the platform. You visited the ports this week, and you visited quite a number of industries. Now, let's begin with the connection between environment and the ports.
Yes, I did make a visit. It was part of the nationwide regional visits. And at EPA, Greater Accra is divided into two regional offices. Greater Accra East Regional, that is Tema, and then the Greater Accra West, that is at Amasaman. So we were at Tema for 4 working days, and we got to the port just as you reported. The linkage here is quite clear, and it's by everything. I talked about LI 1652. That's the legislative instrument that gives the authority, the regulations, the guidelines for environmental permitting and all those things, regulation and all that. And when you get to Schedule 2 of Regulation 2, you will appreciate that there's a list of ventures that come under everything is there, and it is clear. Ports, harbors, and all that, they are there. So it is within the umbrella of our concerns. So we took 10 to visit there. Beyond that, ports, as we know, are areas where services are provided for vessels to come in or to go disembark and all that, and other chemicals, goods that comes around.
Yeah.
Chemicals, other things. And
some of them dangerous cargo.
Yes, and then the services. Indeed, I have here, it says ports may include terminals which generally serve specific function, such as for containers, bulk shipments of cement, iron ore, etc. And these terminals may be operated by a third party. Okay. Ports may also provide ship support facilities and services, including waste management and effluent discharge facilities, maintenance of vehicles and equipment, painting and other vessel maintenance. So all these activities demands environmental regimes, and for that matter, regulations in order to ensure the sanity of our environment. So, and judging from the position of our ports vis-a-vis Gpha, you reckon that the three ownership of ports comes to play here.
Yeah.
You know, the first ownership had operating ports, where the port authority itself conducts the majority of activities. And then the landlord ports, where the port authority itself does not engage in these activities, but rather have tenants in there to do most of these things on its behalf. And then the combination of the two, and I think this is where we find ourselves in the hybrid system.
The hybrid system.
Yes. So typical example has to be the major tenant, MPS.
Yes.
Yes. And then the
other terminals.
The other terminals too. You have tenants and all that. And these tenants, their activities and even the port itself, its activity, the authority itself, the activities comes with effluent, air pollution, noise pollution, wastewater discharges, oil spillages, and here and there. They are all environmental issues that needs to be tackled. So we rightly have to be in there. These are domestic and internal to deal with. There is also the marine environment to look at. And
what angle would that be?
In the receptor, the receiving end has some kind of collaboration with them.
Yeah.
What happens on the high seas eventually affects the operations of the port. So you combine both the environmental marine, environmental issues of the marine ecosystem, and that one is being done through international environmental conventions.
Okay.
For instance, the UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention laws on the sea. So these things come into play and lock in to give EPA the cost to come over and learn on firsthand what is really happening. We were able to interact effectively with some of the port's tenants, for instance, GASEM. We were able to talk to them.
Okay.
And in our interactions, we found out how hard they are trying to be able to operate within our limits or our regulations. However, there's more room for improvement and all that. We were able to come up with a resolution that there's the need to have air pollution monitors for the entire Tema metropolis, so that we'll be able to
monitor the level of pollution.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Not
at the moment we don't have that.
We don't have.
We're not able to determine the level of pollution that runs around the region. If you take Tema, for instance, as an industrial.
We do not have. But if you take an enclave like the port itself, where the GASEM or the cement company is operating, they do have an installed monitor that we all look at it and then work on, and then see the parameters if they are failing or they are doing well. But we said it's not enough. We need a workstation that will do the monitoring for the entire metropolis, and that one we're working seriously to get. Then we were able also to talk to or meet the shipyard and dry dock, the PSC of Tema, another tenant of the port, and we are quite appreciative what we really saw. So then we've resolved to help them to facilitate their environmental management plan, so they will be able to, as it were, situate themselves properly.
Okay.
We do know that that particular company is in distress, and we have a cost.
You're talking about the dry dock.
Yes. We have a cost to have a further talks. I know that the Minister of Transport is very keen on that issue. We will encourage him and other agencies like GPHAs of GNPC to come together to rescue that facility. It is of high importance when it comes to environmental management along the port system. If you're talking about dead vessels or obsolete vessels, particularly the fishing boats, the disposal, the scrapping of the wreckages are being done, dotted all along the eastern coastline, which has its own environmental ramifications. So we would like to see the dry dock in its full capacity running, so it can uptake these activities and do them professionally, and to ensure that the coastline is very, very clean when it comes to these things. And it may interest you to know that when we got to the shipyard, the dry dock, I found out that 1968 that it was built by the first president of the Republic of Ghana, and it was the first time I saw naked ship. I don't know if you've seen it before.
Naked ship.
Ship that is completely naked.
Yeah, naked. Yeah.
No water there. Have you seen it?
Of course, yes.
Yes, you are
there,
closer.
so.
You are there. But a lot of us haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to see that one.
Yeah.
That is when the ship has been brought to the maintenance bay for repairs and all that.
To repairs.
Yes, and
sometimes after that they will paint it and all of that.
Yes, and the mechanism is so interesting. Yeah. And the whole activities
I'm sure our technical folks will be showing some on the screens.
Right. And the whole activities, the chain has environmental issues along all the path lines. So it was interesting knowing and then interacting with them, knowing the challenges available or the challenges that they go through. And if there are solutions, we shared with them. And if there are punitive measures, we would not hesitate to do that, though. I saw the most largest lathe turning machine.
Yeah.
Lathe turning machine. Yeah. The largest in the country at that facility. Yeah. And it was it was planted there, or it was put there since 1968. Yeah. So can you imagine? And it's still working.
Interesting, yeah.
Very interesting
facilities there.
So yes, as I've said it, we will lead. We will try to lead and to ensure that this facility comes back to life fully to serve Mother Ghana, and environmentally it will be very good. When I got to GPHA itself, I mean the landlord of the port, it was also interesting to learn a lot of things from the top officials there, what they put in place, how they seek to monitor the activities of their tenants and all that. We had also as a resolution to cooperate further, EPA working hand in hand with the GPHA at that level to ensure that proper reporting lines are done. And when companies or tenants default, they will be available to give them safe lines or safeguards in order to ensure that we continue to have environmental regimes respected and protected.
One of the things, I'm going to go to your story that upon your visit at GPHA, but one of the things after that I would love for us to talk about is how we keep the place safe, because we've heard about fires in some other ports. I mentioned earlier the Brazilian port, for instance. We heard about fire explosion there. We've heard about some in Tianjin in China, and one is spraying so hard that we don't see any around here. So far we haven't seen any in Africa though. But what is the Environmental Protection Agency doing regularly to ensure that the environment there is safe, where hazardous goods or dangerous goods are kept, for instance, are safe, so that we would not have, at any trigger, we wouldn't see that kind of infernos around the industry? Because you have you talked about Gassem is around there operating a whole lot of bulk cargo. We have the oil side also there. Quite a number of LNGs are being moved here and there. So we want to see how the EPA, for instance, is putting in measures to ensure that some of these dangers are easily detected and they can be remedied if we get any signals as quickly. But let's play and see upon your visit at the port what ensued briefly. And when we come back, we'll see some of the images of the things we want to talk about also.
The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the Environmental Protection Agency have stepped up collaborative efforts aimed at instituting measures that will help make the port environment safer for effective and efficient operations. To this end, Executive Director of the EPA, Dr. Henry Kwabena Kokofu has paid a familiarization visit to the management of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to strengthen the bond of cooperation and collaboration towards ensuring the attainment of ideal levels of environmental safety in the port environment. This visit formed part of a 3-day industrial tour of some selected plants and industries within the Tema industrial enclave and its environs. The EPA boss revealed that service provision at the EPA is undergoing reforms, including the drastic reduction in turnaround time and the issuance of permits and licenses.
From 25 days, we can now do at 5 days. We're going through automation, and we've hired some more hands. We've put in training programs out there for our staff, trying to uplift their skills levels.
Dr. Kokofu recounted a terrible event that occurred in the Beirut port in 2020 and urged the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and its stakeholders to continue to ensure that Ghana does not become a victim of such a catastrophe.
Key on my mind and on the agenda will have to do the handling of hazardous materials with explosives and all that. Judging from international occurrence, I think the most recent had to do with what happened in Lebanon.
Representing the Director General of GPHA, the General Manager in charge of special duties at the authority, George Bredu, assured of continuous collaboration with the EPA.
We will have to find a way to meet regularly so that as state agencies, I believe that we can do more than we are doing now. If we collaborate, we will keep the environment in this community in a sustainable manner, and I believe that it will be for the good of the country and all of us.
The General Manager in charge of Estate and Environment at GPHA, James Benjamin Gazy, on his part, assured of the Port Authority's strict adherence to environmental regulations, as well as compelling tenants who operate within the port to also comply. He also revealed that GPHA is in the process of installing air quality monitors at vantage points to augment the Port Authority's capacity to manage air pollution in Ghana's ports.
It has stalled because just at the final stage of after evaluating and coming out with the most evaluated company, risk management raised an issue. So we have to put it on hold and go back and resolve it. Once that one is resolved, we have planned to put about 7 stations in the port.
The Executive Director of the EPA recognized GPH's role in managing the environmental activities of stakeholders within the port and assured that his outfit will continue to fully support GPHA in that regard.
Okay, so that was your visit to the port in the course of the week. One of the things a lot of people want to see, how, and you have hinted it, to measure the pollution around the port. Because, you see, there's this company that they deal with fish and all of that. If you get around the port environment, sometimes the stench around there, people feel that, something ought to be done urgently. Is there a means to be able to determine the level of pollution something like that is causing, and either let the company be responsible or the Environmental Protection Agency find a way to deal with it?
Yes.
And not just like that company, maybe all other companies that are polluting.
Yes. If you permit me, I have a document here coming from the World Bank Group and the IFC titled Environmental Health and Safety Guidelines, Ports, Harbours and Terminals.
Okay.
Released on February 2nd, 2017. And paragraph 88 had so, and I quote, operating ports are directly responsible for managing components of their operations that may affect the environment.
Okay.
And I repeat, operating ports are directly responsible for managing components of their operations that may affect the environment.
Okay.
While landlord ports generally do not have direct control over the activities of their tenants, they have a significant stake in tenants' activities and the impact of those activities on the environment.
I see.
So, the first port of call rest with the authority.
The Port Authority.
Yeah, the Port Authority. And in this manner, we have a hybrid system, the combination. So it presupposes that the authority itself engages in some kind of activities, and its tenants also
engage in some activities.
And in both scenarios, the Port Authority owes the environment that responsibility. We at EPA set the guidelines and the regulations. So every activity that needs to is taken up from there. The proponent or the client will have to separately apply to EPA for permission or licensing, and then conditions precedent may be set, and the conditions thereon will also be set. So it will then be incumbent on EPA to do the monitoring and evaluate if those conditions given are being adhered to. If not, then what has to be done? Challenges here and there. So in doing so, it does not necessarily absolve the landlord or here to say GPHA the responsibility of so doing.
Yeah.
So that is why there is the need to strengthen the collaboration.
Yeah, but how frequently is EPA, for instance, engaged in that monitoring responsibility? Do you monitor? Do you come around the port often to see whether that is not environmentally friendly or that is environmentally friendly?
And this, our trip have kick-started that process. I told you we are undergoing some form of I wouldn't say reforms per se, but then we are upping our game by awareness creation and education. And these trips that we undertook forms the bedrock. So our officers are being propped up. We have more hands now. They've been given enough training now. So we are going to be very, very conspicuous and very regular in there. We showed the accident that has happened, and it talked about fire incidents and all those things. The general manager for environment took us round the trip, and he took us to the TBT.
Yeah.
The Tema.
Where the dangerous cargoes are kept.
Yeah. It's called the TBT.
I think Tema Bonded Terminal.
Tema Bonded Terminal, where these cargoes, dangerous, hazardous, and all that are kept. I mean, under very professional work. And we were told that GPHA has a concession agreement with an expertized company that has the expertise to handle those things. So we got there, and truly to word, it is being done perfectly so. However, there were other concerns that we needed to raise and for them to look up to it. For instance, the UCL, that's where
the uncleared cargoes
are kept. These are known to be dangerous already, and they are kept there under the auspices of the customs, the preventive sector of customs. And we are of the view that EPA must be in the know, and indeed we must be monitoring these containers.
Yeah, cargoes that have not been cleared, but they contain dangerous goods, and they are seated there because once they cross a certain period, they become now under control of customs.
Exactly.
How do you monitor that?
That's it. So the disposal of it, indeed, we even have to know what is in there first. And we have the capacity to check radiation. We have emission. We have the capacity to check almost everything in there with the appropriate PPEs and all that. Our guys and girls have been trained.
But in the past, you haven't been closer to such cargoes.
Yes. So now it is. And indeed, letters have been drafted to be given to the entire authority chain as to. I learnt that day that EPA's staff used to be at the port, and they've been sacked years back with a simple reason that they wanted a short inspection line. But I told them EPA is the first to be here, so we are going back. from Tuesday, we are sending our officers.
EPA is going back to the, you're going back to have your presence in the port.
Exactly. Okay. And I've requested for 2 officers from GPHA, and graciously,
that has been offered you?
Yes, the general manager on behalf of the director general, we've been offered.
Okay.
So
but is that supposed to mean that you'll be part of the inspection team? Because the inspection team, according to the vice president, was supposed to be customs, the standards authority, the food and drugs authority, and I think recently the veterinary services were added. Is EPA going to be part of that inspection before cargoes are out? Yeah. Or you're saying that, because the idea was that you could collaborate with GSA, the standards authority, or FDA to get that done?
No, when it comes to the law is clear. The law on hazardous substances.
Okay, when it comes to the hazardous in particular.
Yes, the hazardous in particular. The law is clear.
Okay.
EPA handles all that.
Yeah.
And we have the expertise.
Yeah.
And all that. It's not a matter of saying the standard or the substandard.
Yeah.
It is dangerous.
Yeah, for the dangerous cargoes.
Yes. So EPA handles all that. The disposal of it, the transportation. Even it is not all transport and logistics companies that are allowed in there. Yeah. They seek and they need EPA permit before they can undertake such ventures. So we must necessarily be there, be present to look at it and see how it has got to be disposed of, who can handle them, and for what. And then even monitor. Once they get out of the port, we must monitor up to the final destinations. Yeah. And more so, there are a lot more that are in transit. Originally, they may be in transit, but they may end up
in the country.
Without any traces. So it's very, very important
that you return. But do you have details of what your return is entailed? What are you going to do? You've mentioned the dangerous cargo bit. Is it just going to be for dangerous cargo? You return to take charge of the dangerous cargo, or you'll be in other areas of inspection as well? Just for clarity.
It will depend.
Okay.
The negotiations and the talkings that comes out. But ideally, since we are permitting these activities there at the port in general, we must be around to see that the conditions we gave are being adhered to. Yeah. Otherwise, what will be the reasons or the importance of sitting in office and permitting?
You're saying that international best practices indicate that you have your presence around when you are disposing of such cargoes as well.
Exactly.
Do you see yourself, or the sort of EPA that you have inherited, you see yourself as capable of regulating some of these industries, pushing for some of the things to be done? Because these are some huge, heavy industries beyond even the port space. You have Valco, you have all the other industries and all of that. Do you have that strength? Are you given the strength to push people to do the right things?
The law is the heaviest. The law has the strength. It's not about the agencies of individuals.
But
it is the law.
The law has given you mandate.
Exactly. I've told you. You get to Act 490, you read through and you get all that I'm talking about. You get to...
And are people complying to these laws that you have the mandate to enforce?
That is the more reason why we need to up our game.
By doing what?
Monitoring and evaluating. And we see the law allows us to control, enforce, and then ensure compliance of all the environmental regulations as given in 1652 LI of 1999. And it's something we are going to publish.
Okay.
We are going to make it public. And we will be happy for entities to have them clearly pasted at their places, so that you fall in there and what you have to do and what you ought not to do. So it's the application of the law. It is the enforcement, ensuring compliance. That is where the strength lies. It's not about the bigger, the name and all those things.
What's the challenge in ensuring or enforcing compliance? What can you say that you have been able to detect as a basic difficulty that you face when you want to enforce compliance?
Before I get there, when you look at the petroleum exploration and production, the upstream petroleum, yes, we have this law backing us to ensure compliance there. And it is
225.
the Health, Safety and Environment Regulations of 2017, LI 2258. They are in here. So if we get on and then apply the law, no matter how bigger you are, no matter how the muscles you have in the industry, the law is the heaviest. Okay, back to your, yes, the challenge in ensuring compliance and ultimately enforcing compliance has to do, one, with capacity. Capacity in terms of numbers, human numbers, the capacity in terms of other equipment of detection and all those things. The average EPA staff is well trained and very highly committed to the work and disciplined, the average. And so that is a plus for us. But then you need the tools to work with. You need to continuously upgrade the skills levels of these officers. And then we need to, our presence need to be seen and felt. We have got to be timeously got to be around to see what is happening on the field. And so it's part of the reforms that we are undergoing. We're going to give more training to those we've picked on, particularly the new entrants, and then retrain the old hands and equip them with the law to start with. The law must be with you. You must know the parameters where you can, the ambience of your regulatory space. Then again, the tools to work with, the PPEs, the proper gear to be put on in order to engage in some of these hazardous substances. And then three, the gadgets to monitor. For you talked about odor.
Yeah.
Odor, we have monitors that determines the parameters at which a certain scent can be emitted into the space, the atmospheric space. We have all that but we don't.
And you're able to. Sorry, go ahead.
We don't have enough in the system. Air quality monitoring machines, we do not have enough. Noise, we do not have enough. Not at all. I mean,
do you even have them?
Yeah, we have about 2, 3 here
for the whole country.
3 here, 1, 2, 3 here, and we have laboratories that are designed to be able to test these things, so many things, to see the levels that are required. We need to equip them. We've undertaken a survey, and we are contracting suppliers to come in and then equip these laboratories.
Yeah,
so be more
Honorable, because that's key, because on the screens now, for instance, is the Brazilian blast that we witnessed last year. Now, the reason why a lot of people would wish that as immediate as possible, you have some of these dictators or whatever, something that can detect the air pollution in the air, the gas, the amount of gas in the air, the fuel, and all of that in the air, is that you don't end up with some dangers like this, emergencies like this.
Exactly. So we're trying to be proactive. When we say we are engaging the Port Authority and its tenants and other operators, we are looking at some of these things to preempt.
How soon do you what's the timelines you've given yourself to get some of these facilities as quickly as possible so that physically people can see change?
Tuesday we're going to work. Tuesday we have a management meeting, an emergency one. They are not adequate. They are not enough to do so. What is hampering the bringing in or the complete stop of that had to do with, I think there's an allowance. The commercial aspect is what is under scrutiny.
Yeah, the allowance was that sometimes if you have if it's an item you were using and then you are bringing, then it becomes sort of personal effect and all of that. But now it's in the full glare of the public.
So
it's
people are abusing that one.
Yeah.
So there's a need to look at the rules and the regulations again, and to tighten the loopholes, and then to cover all gray areas.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will be an exercise in futility. Yeah. But then, the Energy Commission is doing well. It has done well so far. Other than that, we would have had the influx so much in the system.
Okay.
And people are also complying. People have desisted from, but then you still have the recalcitrant ones around. And when the law catches up with them, they are dealt with.
Yeah. Let me ask you, as I'm ending, I'm going to ask about eradication of plastic waste, and then I'll tie in with the e-waste levy that you are charging, for instance. What have been the measures that, or the plans you have towards eliminating plastic waste in the system? We are interested in that because most of our waters, the beaches and all of that, are filled with these plastic waste.
Yes, before I got to office, the MEST, the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, under the then minister, had put up a working committee together comprising the producers of the plastic waste, the traders in the industry itself, and then EPA and other sector agencies that act as collaborators to come to terms with how best we get rid of these plastic waste. Conversations have gone on, and one school of thought had said a total ban on this plastic waste. Others have also argued that given the quantum or the industry piece, it will be quite uneconomical to completely ban the plastics. However, the polluter pays principle is being engineered, engendered to ensure that those who does the production and then those who uses it pays levy on it for the proper disposal of that. The good news is that we've had a couple of companies coming around, a few more are coming, that have seen the plastic waste as raw materials that they can put to use, process them into wealth, other things, even for export and all that, and to feed local plastic and rubber companies that that needs the raw materials and all that. So I strongly believe that within time we will be able to get around it. The incoming or the minister now, Dr. Kokwe was asked during the vetting, and he has a comprehensive plan, an idea that will come in to augment and uplift what his predecessor had settled down with. So we are waiting up to see how we upscale and accelerate the mechanisms that we put in place so we can sooner get these things out of our system.
Okay.
We must know that the after use of these materials in itself are not practically waste materials. They can serve as raw materials. So the proper disposal of them, putting them in containers and all that, and even selling them out to the companies that require as raw materials, also brings back money to you, you the user. So when the education get on board, when things get running, surely the entire society will get to know that first, yes, we can use the plastic rubbers and all that, know how to dispose of it, and then the carriers or the off-takers will come in and pick them, either to pay you money or whatever.
That brings to the levy, the e-waste levy thing. That I heard that from June thereabout, you start implementing that. Have you sensitized the stakeholders well enough? The freight forwarders, the importers, the traders, and all of that.
Yes. Before I came to office, this levy, its implementation had caused a lot of hula value and all that. and it was abruptly put on hold. We have what we call HS code. That gives identification to the various items that are taxable or that can be levied and all that. The consultants and the architects of the whole stratagem identified about 365 of such items. About 65 were originally implemented, and the 300 are yet to come on board. But we reckoned that consultations had not been that adequate with the major stakeholders, being the importers. So we decided to restart the entire process altogether. And let me say, we have what we call e-waste fund. These levies are to be paid into a particular fund. That fund will then be used to collect these materials when they are after use, collect these materials and then recycle them into reusable goods, either for export or whatever, so that we do not litter the environment with this. So the fund is existing. Now we have successfully come to terms with the stakeholders. No acrimony any longer. They've agreed and they are happy, and they are even advocating. They are asking that they will collaborate with us to get more items into the system. So we've agreed, giving ourselves timelines.
Which is when? What's the timeline?
June. By June, we are there. So stakeholder consultations are going to go down with the various groups. You know, the traders have their groups. So each group is going back to their members to discuss with them. Then there will be a feedback, and then we get to the government level, and then the minister will then give us the go-ahead. So by June, full implementation.
Thanks for watching.